The ocean is largely undiscovered. One of the things that people need to understand is that most of the exploration of the ocean is really essentially around the outside edges.
That's right.
It's around the shores,
Less than 10%. So,
which is nuts.
a buddy of mine
90% of the ocean.
That's right.
Like what?
We know more about the moon than the bottom of our own ocean.
The frozen depths of the Arctic Ocean have captivated and intrigued humanity for centuries. Hidden beneath its icy surface lies a realm so unfamiliar and unexplored that it could easily be mistaken for an entirely different world. Joe Rogan, renowned for his deep explorations into the mysterious and the unknown, recently delved into a haunting story from the era of the Soviet Union. In a recent episode of his immensely popular podcast, Rogan examined a series of eerie Soviet diving missions in the Arctic that unearthed strange and unexplainable occurrences. Events that challenge our comprehension of the natural world and perhaps even the very fabric of reality. The story begins in the 1960s and 70s, during the height of the Cold War. The Soviet Union, driven by its desire to dominate every frontier, including the icy expanse of the Arctic, launched a series of covert underwater missions. These expeditions were ostensibly scientific, aiming to map the ocean floor and study marine ecosystems. However, as Rogan delved into the details, it became clear that the Soviets encountered far more than they had bargained for. Reports from these missions, some of which have only recently come to light, paint a picture of an underwater world teeming with anomalies, some seemingly impossible to explain through conventional science. One of the most astonishing revelations emerged from a classified Soviet document that was leaked to the public in the early 2000s. This document detailed a 1972 mission during which a team of Soviet divers encountered what can only be described as an unidentified submerged object, or USO. According to the report, the divers were investigating a deep trench beneath the Arctic ice when they observed a metallic, disc-shaped object silently hovering in the water. The object, unlike anything the divers had ever encountered before, emitted a faint glow and produced a low-frequency hum that reverberated through the water. As the divers moved closer, the object suddenly shot away at an incredible speed, leaving them stunned and disoriented. What makes this account even more fascinating is the level of detail provided by the Soviet divers. They described the object as being flawlessly smooth, without any visible seams or joints, and made of a material that could not be immediately identified. Some theorists, including Rogan, have suggested that this material might have been an advanced alloy, possibly one not known to exist on Earth. The object's capabilities, its ability to hover, emit light, and accelerate instantaneously, have led many to speculate whether it might have been of extraterrestrial origin. But the story doesn't end there. As Rogan pointed out, this was not an isolated incident. Over the years, there have been numerous reports of strange underwater phenomena in the Arctic, many of them eerily similar to the 1972 encounter. For example, in 1984, a Soviet submarine crew reported detecting a massive object on sonar that appeared to be following their vessel. The object, estimated to be several hundred meters in diameter, maintained a constant distance from the submarine, mirroring its every move. Then, without warning, it vanished from the sonar screen, leaving the crew baffled. What exactly were these objects? Could they have been advanced Soviet or American technologies concealed from public knowledge? Or were they something entirely different? Possibly evidence of an advanced underwater civilization or visitors from another world? Rogan delved into all these possibilities, crafting a thought-provoking narrative that left listeners questioning everything they believed about the Arctic. A particularly unsettling element of these encounters is the physical impact reportedly endured by those involved. Numerous divers who came into contact with these anomalies described experiencing severe headaches, nausea, and even temporary memory loss. In some instances, these symptoms lingered for weeks, raising the possibility that the objects emitted some form of radiation or electromagnetic energy. Rogan drew striking parallels between these accounts and reports of UFO encounters on land, which often involve similar physical effects. Yet the Soviets reportedly encountered more than just unidentified objects in the Arctic. There are also tales of strange, almost mythical creatures dwelling beneath the ice. One of the most notable accounts originates from a 1982 Soviet diving mission in Siberia's Lake Baikal, which, while not technically in the Arctic, shares many of the region's harsh and enigmatic traits. During this expedition, divers allegedly encountered humanoid beings swimming at depths exceeding 50 meters. These beings, described as over 3 meters tall and clad in silvery suits, appeared to move effortlessly through the water despite the immense pressure at such depths. According to reports, the divers attempted to capture one of these beings, but were met with a powerful retaliation. Several team members sustained injuries, and the mission was abruptly terminated. Rogan speculated that, if real, these beings could represent a previously unknown aquatic species or even an ancient civilization adapted to underwater life. Adding to the mystery is the Soviet Union's apparent effort to suppress these accounts. Many reports from these missions were classified and kept from the public eye for decades. Even now, much of what is known comes from leaked documents and testimonies of former Soviet officials who have chosen to come forward. Rogan discussed the possibility that the Soviets may have been trying to protect a major discovery, something that could have profound implications for humanity's understanding of life on Earth and beyond. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics argue that these accounts could be exaggerated or even fabricated, pointing to the lack of hard evidence to support the claims. However, Rogan countered that the very nature of these encounters taking place in some of the most remote and inaccessible regions on the planet makes it incredibly difficult to obtain concrete proof. He also noted that the consistency of the reports, many of which share strikingly similar details despite originating from different sources and periods, adds credibility to the claims. One of the most intriguing theories Rogan explored is the possibility that the Arctic, with its vast and largely unexplored underwater terrain, could be home to a hidden base or settlement. Advances in sonar and satellite imaging have revealed massive underwater structures, some of which appear to be artificial. Could these structures be connected to the strange phenomena reported by the Soviets? And if so, who or what built them? Rogan also discussed the broader implications of these extraordinary encounters. If the Soviet reports are to be believed, they hint at the possibility that we are not alone, not only in the vast expanse of the universe, but potentially even on our planet. This revelation, Rogan suggested, would compel humanity to grapple with profound questions about our place in the cosmos and our connection to other forms of life. Perhaps the most disconcerting aspect of these accounts lies in what they reveal about the boundaries of human understanding. The Arctic, one of the least explored regions on Earth, remains cloaked in mystery. What other secrets might be hidden beneath its icy surface, awaiting discovery? Rogan left his audience with a profound sense of wonder and curiosity, encouraging them to keep an open mind and to continue questioning the world around them. As the podcast came to a close, Rogan emphasized that the enigma of the Arctic is far from resolved. While the Soviet reports are captivating, they represent just the beginning, both figuratively and literally. Much about this isolated and mysterious region remains unknown, and the discoveries yet to come could fundamentally alter our understanding of the world in ways we cannot yet imagine. If you'd like, I can delve deeper into specific aspects, such as the Soviet diving missions, the reports of underwater entities, or the broader implications of these findings. Let me know how you'd like to proceed. The Arctic Ocean is a world unlike any other, silent, vast, and largely unexplored. The deeper we venture into its icy depths, the more questions arise. For decades, various governments, including the Soviets, have investigated this region not only in pursuit of scientific knowledge, but also for potential military advantages. However, over time, it became evident that the Arctic conceals mysteries that defy earthly explanations. Joe Rogan's podcast has explored this enigmatic realm, shedding light on unsettling reports that emerged during the Soviet era and beyond. Initially driven by geopolitical objectives, the Soviets' fascination with Arctic exploration led them into uncharted and baffling territory. Over the years, whispers of inexplicable phenomena and extraordinary discoveries circulated within confidential circles. These accounts went far beyond stories of giant sea creatures or frigid conditions. They described encounters so extraordinary they resembled science fiction. Rogan's deep dive into this topic brought forward the sheer weight of reports, declassified documents, and testimonies that continue to baffle scientists and researchers alike. One of the most baffling revelations Rogan touched on was the 1965 expedition by the Soviet military in the heart of the Arctic Ocean. Their divers stumbled across a cavern deep beneath the ice shelf. Inside the cavern, strange bioluminescent structures illuminated the walls, emitting a light not typical of known underwater life. These structures pulsed rhythmically, almost as though they were alive. Divers described them as resembling geometric shapes, almost like fractals in motion, a design so perfect it seemed intentional. What happened next has been the subject of intense speculation. According to leaked accounts, when one diver attempted to retrieve a sample, the lights in the cavern flickered, and a low-pitched hum resonated through the water. Moments later, the diver's equipment began to malfunction. Oxygen gauges, communication devices, and even their navigation systems stopped responding. Panicked, the team surfaced as quickly as they could, leaving the mysterious cavern untouched. What were these structures? Rogan speculated that they could be evidence of an ancient civilization now lost beneath the ice. Alternatively, they might point to a life form so advanced and alien that it defies our current understanding of biology. It's a tantalizing possibility, one that continues to be a focal point of Arctic mystery. Rogan delved into other spine-chilling encounters from the Soviet era, shedding light on some truly unnerving accounts. Among the most gripping stories was a 1987 mission during which submarines patrolled the Arctic's remote northernmost reaches. The crew reportedly witnessed what seemed to be a massive glowing entity moving beneath the ice. It was neither mechanical nor resembled any known species. Measuring around 30 meters in length, it moved with deliberate and powerful strokes. The crew referred to it as Zima ribona, or winter fish, but they were certain it was no ordinary aquatic creature. When they used sonar to track the entity, the signals returned distorted, as though the creature emitted its electromagnetic field, interfering with the equipment. Rogan speculated whether this anomaly suggested the entity was sentient, possibly capable of avoiding detection or defending itself in unconventional ways. The mystery deepened when several Soviet submariners experienced strange dreams and visions after the encounter, describing glowing patterns and symbols they couldn't explain. Were these visions merely psychological aftereffects, or could they have been a form of communication? Rogan emphasized that the Arctic is far more than a frozen expanse littered with wrecks. It may be a gateway to unexplainable phenomena. Another controversial account involved the so-called black ice phenomenon reported in 1991. During a Soviet expedition, a team encountered a patch of water that appeared significantly darker than its surroundings. Spanning over 2 miles in diameter, this area seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Divers who ventured near it reported sensations of disorientation and vertigo. Those who dared to go further described hearing faint, unidentifiable whispers. What could have caused such an enigmatic occurrence? While some scientists proposed that it might be due to unusual magnetic anomalies or geothermal activity beneath the ice, Rogan and his guests offered a more extraordinary theory. Could this black ice be a dimensional gateway, a portal to another realm? Although this idea might seem far-fetched, Rogan noted the similarities between this and other global phenomena, such as the Bermuda Triangle, which also featured disorientation, equipment malfunctions, and inexplicable sensory experiences. The question then arises, why is the Arctic a hotspot for such activity? Rogan posited that it might be due to the Earth's magnetic fields, which are particularly strong at the poles. These fields could theoretically interact with unknown technologies or entities, creating a kind of hotspot for anomalous activity. Others suggest that the Arctic's isolation and inaccessibility make it the perfect hiding place, whether for advanced civilizations, extraterrestrial visitors, or even secret military experiments. One of the most compelling connections Rogan made was between the Soviet-era discoveries and modern-day UFO sightings. He highlighted a phenomenon known as USOs, or unidentified submerged objects. Unlike traditional UFOs, these are seen entering or exiting bodies of water at incredible speeds. defying the laws of physics as we understand them. In recent years, the U.S. Navy has declassified footage showing similar objects off the coast of California and elsewhere. Could these USOs have a connection to the Arctic anomalies reported decades earlier? Rogan seemed to think so, and he wasn't alone. Prominent scientists and military personnel have begun speaking out about the likelihood of underwater bases or advanced technologies hidden beneath the ocean. If these theories are true, it would explain why the Arctic, with its vast unexplored depths, continues to yield such strange reports. It would also mean that the Soviets' discoveries in the 20th century were just the beginning of a much larger story, one that spans the globe and perhaps even the galaxy. As Rogan delved into these connections, he examined the role of secrecy and suppression. Why hasn't more information about these Arctic discoveries come to light? He proposed that governments, including the Soviet Union, may have deliberately withheld this knowledge to prevent public panic or maintain a strategic advantage. After all, if these anomalies represent advanced technologies, whether of terrestrial or extraterrestrial origin, they could have significant implications for national security. Alternatively, the secrets of the Arctic might be so transformative that governments fear the societal disruption that could follow their disclosure. Another unsettling element of the Arctic mystery involves sound. Several Soviet expeditions reported hearing unexplained noises beneath the ice, sounds resembling machinery, voices, or even music. In one instance, a recording device captured a series of tones that, upon analysis, failed to match any known marine life or geological phenomena. Rogan shared a snippet of the audio on his podcast, and the effect was eerie. The tones were rhythmic, almost melodic, yet entirely unfamiliar. Some have speculated that these sounds could be a form of communication, either from an advanced underwater species or technologies hidden deep beneath the ice. A guest on Rogan's episode suggested a possible connection to the so-called hollow Earth theory. According to this hypothesis, the Earth's interior is not a solid mass but contains vast hollow spaces that could potentially support life. Although mainstream science dismisses this notion, the reports from the Arctic raise intriguing questions. Could there be more to our planet than we currently understand? At the very least, these sounds suggest that the Arctic's underwater environment is far more dynamic and enigmatic than previously thought. As the discussion continued, Rogan shifted focus to the human element of these stories, the divers, submariners, and scientists who braved extraordinary risks to explore the unknown. Many of them endured significant hardships as a result of their curiosity. Physical ailments, psychological trauma, and even mysterious deaths have been associated with these expeditions. Rogan stressed that these individuals were not conspiracy theorists or fringe researchers, but highly trained professionals, often operating within government programs. Their accounts warrant serious consideration and should not be dismissed as mere speculation or fantasy. Ultimately, Rogan concluded that the Arctic remains one of the last great frontiers of exploration, a place where the lines between science and mystery blur. Whether the phenomena reported there are natural, technological, or something else entirely, they challenge our understanding of the world and our place within it. And as technology advances, allowing us to probe deeper into the Arctic's icy depths, who knows what we might discover next? These stories are more than just tales of the unexplained. They're a reminder of the vastness and complexity of our planet. For every question we answer, a dozen more arise. As Joe Rogan might say, the journey of discovery is never ending, and that's what makes it so exciting. What lies beneath the Arctic Ocean remains one of the most elusive enigmas of our planet. From glowing geometric structures to whispers of alternate dimensions, Joe Rogan's exploration into the Soviet Arctic diving missions reveals more than just cold water and ice. As we delve even deeper, the picture becomes clearer but no less terrifying. Humanity might be poking at forces it barely understands. One particular aspect of this story that Rogan emphasized is the geopolitical context of the Cold War. The Arctic served as a crucial theater for espionage, surveillance, and military dominance. Both the Soviet Union and the United States operated under a constant state of mutual suspicion, frequently deploying submarines, experimental vessels, and covert operatives to probe and monitor this icy region. While much of this activity had tactical objectives, there are strong indications that certain discoveries were deemed too peculiar or sensitive for public knowledge.